Hello everyone, my name is Frank Solomon Connelly. Thank you for viewing this, and get comfortable because I'm going to just talk for a while. I'd like to share with everyone 3 deep principles that I think make yoga yoga. So just relax and enjoy. In a nutshell, those 3 points are focus, clear, centered mind, being present of what's happening in the moment, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing that invokes the peace of our divine nature, and a term Eric Schiffman uses called playing the edge. So as we do our yoga practice, I personally feel that it's important to keep those 3 principles in mind the whole time that we're doing it. The word yoga actually comes from the Sanskrit root yog, which is the yoke that bound 2 oxen together, because the true meaning of yoga is union. That yoga came to the West in the height of the Industrial Revolution, so what was brought to, or what the American focus became, was a very materialistic, body-oriented part. So yoga became synonymous with exercise stretching program, but it's really a whole lot deeper. That idea of union is between your personality and your divine nature. And the word asana, which is Sanskrit, was loosely translated as position or posture, like Tadasana, mountain pose, or Savasana, corpse pose, the last word asana. But actually, a more accurate definition is the mind being aware of the energy flowing through the body as it assumes a certain position. So yoga is much more about the mind than about the body. So the idea of yoga is not to try to force your body into a picture in the book, which can actually hurt yourself. That yoga is more about using that position to help focus your mind. So that, therefore, the principle of a calm, focused mind, being present in this now moment of what's happening, what's going on in your body. What we're focusing on is what Eric Schiffman calls playing the edge. What he means by that is the edge between being forceful and the edge between being lazy. So the idea, I'll demonstrate with a seated forward fold, because I have a lot of tension behind the back of my legs. So to seated forward fold, we start off in the staff pose, getting our body nice and straight. I'll get into explanations later, but on the forward folds, we start on our in-breath. Now, if I was looking at the picture in the book, I'd say, okay, I'm supposed to be grabbing my feet, forcing my head to my knees, but now I'm holding my breath and straining and forcing, and a lot of tension, a lot of pain, and I've got the wrong focus. I'm now forcing, I've gone over that edge of being present, and I'm now egoism. I'm trying to force my body into a position that it's not comfortable with. So this idea of playing the edge, even though I can get this far with a bit of pain and suffering, this idea of playing the edge is that when you come to that first edge of tension, you want to stop and breathe into it. Again, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing that invokes the peace of your divine nature. So I'm here in my staff pose. Breathe out, and already I'm starting to feel tension behind my legs. So I just take a moment here, just feel that tension, allow my mind to be present, experiencing this tension, being aware of my breath, invoking the peace of my divine nature into this tension, and it starts to melt and relax and let go. So then I can go forward into my seated forward fold. So we move into our forward folds on the out breath. So I move a little bit further, I come to the next edge. Again, just being present, using my breath, being aware, the rhythm of my breathing, helping to slowly open, close this tension, bringing that peace of my divine nature into that tension, and it starts to relax and melt again. So I can come to the next edge. Because what's happening is I'm being present, bringing my mind to what's what's happening in my body, feeling this next edge of tension, allowing the rhythm of my breath to open it up, to invoke a piece of my divine nature, to help me melt that tension. I can come to the next edge. And what's happening in this process is not only am I starting to melt and get the physical tension to relax and let go, within all of our physical tensions are psychological tensions as well. So if I just try to match a picture in a book, and force myself and hold my breath and strain, I'm totally going to miss it. If I'm being present with that physical tension, slowly coming into that physical tension, playing each edge, letting it melt, playing each edge, letting it melt, playing each edge, letting it melt, far more likely to come to the psychological trauma that's hiding underneath those physical traumas. And when I allow myself to be present and experience that, their back of the legs could be support. I don't feel support within my universe, so I need to hold on, and tension is usually related to fear. So if I can allow myself to melt through the physical tension and experience that psychological trauma, I can explode in anger or cry, oh, why isn't there anybody to support me? And if I'm practicing egoism and saying, oh, I'm supposed to be doing a seated forward fold, and stop that process, I'm no longer doing yoga. Because what's happening is if I allow myself to experience that deep psychological trauma, invoking the peace of my divine nature, to allow that to flow out of me, I'm creating greater union between my personality and my divine nature. Because it's in those tensions, physical and psychological, that the separation between our divine nature and physical nature happens. So, that's why to me it's really important to be present the whole time that we're doing our yoga practice. When you hear your instructor say breathe, so we can't hold our breath for very long before we naturally breathe, that's what they're actually meaning. Be conscious of your breath. In that slow, deep, rhythmic breathing, you're actually invoking the peace of your divine nature into that place. So as you're going along in your practice, if you rush past all those edges and go, everything's going to tighten up and get scary. You never experience that deeper psychological trauma. But if you stop at the first edge, I use the analogy of coming up to Fort Knox. That if a truck all of a sudden bashes through the gate, all the security forces come out, and there's no way they're even close to Fort Knox. But if at each checkpoint, the person shows their credentials, shows they're coming in a good way, then they'll be able to get to Fort Knox and do what they need to do. And the treasure within these physical tensions is a psychological thing, and that's really our aim. It's not to be present with our physical body so much as using that as a tool to get to those deeper levels of ourselves. So, calm, clear, focused mind, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing invokes the peace of our divine nature, and playing each edge. So if we're following along in this instructional yoga video series, and you hear me to instruct you to do a pose that's uncomfortable or painful to you, don't do that. Go as far as you can into it, or substitute it for another one. Like downward facing dog can be a bit intense. Inverted posture. If this is that you're comfortable with, then do that. Because again, yoga is more about the mind, where you are in this current now moment, not following a picture in the book. And being present with where you're at now. And sometimes you're able to pull up into your cobra really, really well. Other times, back bends are about invoking prana. You won't feel really empowered and strong. You only come up a little bit. And if you say, oh, last week I was able to do this, and force yourself, you can hurt yourself. But each time, just being present with where you are in this current now moment. It's more likely in those times where you're feeling stressed out that if you're being present and being really aware, you'll get to those deeper psychological levels because they're more up to the surface, so you can become more conscious of them. Okay, so that's the 3 deep principles that make yoga yoga that I thought was important to share with you before we began. So, namaste, and let's begin our asana practice.